actually fraternity brothers, which is kind of an exciting thing. But anyway, my name is Robert Graff. I'm an attorney, and I am president of the Graff Standard. I work with attorneys, helping them with their courtroom presentations and performance, so that when they go to court, they seem like they're on TV. One thing that I do notice for attorneys is that they often have problems expressing difficult messages to clients. And so that's what I'm speaking on today, is communicating difficult messages. Delivering a message is normally bad news, but it's part of the leadership experience, both at home and at work. Most times it communicates something bad, but it can also be something that the leader or the communicator finds something difficult presenting. So whether it's good news, bad news, they just have a difficult time presenting it. And that can be a difficult communication. So a couple things to think about are when delivering a difficult message, whether it's positive news you find difficult delivering or a negative message, is making sure that the person hears it, understands it, and is able to take action following that message being delivered. So it's important to give only 1 to 2 key points, anticipate the concerns and questions that the recipient will be hearing after you speak, and sharing information in a specific way that the person can then move forward from whatever that information is. So why is this important? Well, studies have shown that when negative messages are delivered, the recipient loses the ability to comprehend and understand the information being given, which is why it's so important to give a simple, concise message.
Excuse me, can you speak a little bit louder?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. I can actually move a little bit. I'll come out from behind and speak. So, I was speaking with my wife in preparation for this speech, and she's a teacher. She's an high school English teacher. So she gives papers to people, and one thing I said to her, I said, Heather, what's a difficult message you have to deliver? She said, when I'm telling students that they plagiarized on a paper, that is something difficult I have to tell them. I said, well, how do you do it? She says, I tell them, you plagiarized, you're getting a 0. And that's what she says, and the students fight back. That's one way to deliver a message, and there's really 2 ways to deliver a message to somebody. It's that way of showing authority, and many times with students, that's the best way to do it. And I said, well, what's another way to deliver that message? This is part of what I do, I ask questions. So what's another way to deliver that message? Well, she said I could say, how could I help you the next time? Or hand them the paper and say, how can I help you the next time with this paper? And then they come forward and say, look, I was really struggling, something happened in my life. Teachers often don't know what's going on in their students' personal lives. It could be something that led them to create this plagiarized paper. Finding out what's wrong with that person at the time, anticipating their concerns, anticipating their questions, sometimes can deliver a more powerful message, especially when it's bad news. So I said to her, let's say you have to be authoritarian. That's just something she has to do. If she went with a concise statement saying, you plagiarized this paper, and then stopped, what would happen then? She says, well, the students might fight back. And I said, well, what about the silence? A lot of times there's silence. And let's say I stop talking right now. Silence is something, and I'm not going to, but silence is something silence is something that's very uncomfortable for people, because it's our internal monitor that's saying, oh, maybe the person I'm speaking to will think I'm not that smart, or maybe the person I'm speaking to will think I'm boring and lose interest in what I'm saying. That's something within us, and it's about getting through those blocks that we have about silence and the fears and concerns we have about silence, which can actually make silence less powerful. By using silence as an advantage when you're speaking to somebody, giving those short, concise 1 to 2 points, keeping it silent and then moving forward from there, then you can really get that message across and keep the recipient interested in what's going on and how to move forward. So let's use teaching, for example, again. And I like this example, I really do. So I'm going to keep harping on it. But she says, you plagiarized on this paper. It just says, I mean, you took this straight from Ponzio's. She could say, and just hands it back to the student, and then sits there silently. Then the student can come forward and make the next step. Well, what can I do to make up for this? I don't want to fail this paper. How can I make this up to you? the student, the recipient, is taking ownership at that time to move forward from that situation. Another way she could have done it is hand the paper back, as I said earlier, and anticipate that the student's going to fight back and say, what can I do to help you the next time on this? The student knows that he or she plagiarized on the paper, so there's no point in telling that person that. What can I do to help you? The student, the recipient, is taking ownership of that difficult news, that difficult message, and being able to take action moving forward from there. So, it's important, again, to make sure that the statement is clear and concise. As I said, 1 to 2 points. If you keep beating around the bush, asking the questions, as I said, sometimes those questions are great, but if you keep beating around the bush and saying, I don't know what you did wrong here, this is not really good, let's do it from a business point of view. If you have a sales team and the sales team isn't doing well, asking them all the time, saying, what can I do to help? If that's not working, you're probably beating around the bush. So really saying, you need to get your numbers up. You need to work on this. That is going to get stuff done. That's a really good way to get stuff done, and sometimes that is the appropriate way to do it. I, again, suggest the softer approach, which, again, is always a good way to speak, a good way to lead people. Many times leaders believe that, hey, I can't be soft. I need to be the person that's laying down the law. I need to be the person that's telling people how it is, or they won't respect it. You'd be surprised to find out that many employees are just looking for respect, and that the respect is coming when there is that softer message. There's a former police chief that I know, I think she's from Northern Jersey, but she does motivational speaking, she does coaching, and she's spoken in front of a bunch of police chiefs before and said, all right, I want you all to raise your hands and say, how many of you, if you took off the bars, if you took off the Eagles, how many of you would have the respect of your officers? And all of them put their heads down and sat there silent. Because many times respect is earned, it's not something that comes from that chain of command. So by earning that respect, by having that softer message, by putting emotion in, by mixing it in, by being a person, by being human with your employees, with the person that you're delivering this bad message to, this difficult message, can be a way to gain the respect to actually get the message across better where they want to perform better for you. So one thing that, as I said, I want to get into messages that leaders have difficulties giving as well. When they're good messages, when they're positive messages. Somebody that can't speak well, that has problems with public speaking, and I'm going to go back to my wife. She says her principal is terrible at public speaking. So when he's delivering good news to them, the energy of the room is sucked out. Why is the energy sucked out? Because he is nervous. He wants to get his point across to make sure that everybody hears him. So by the end, they're all exhausted. They're all drained. They've had a bad time hearing great news. If the leader doesn't like to give positive messages, the recipient's not going to like to hear positive messages. So there's a couple ways that, some skills I'd like to offer for leaders that have these issues. One is acknowledging. When you're delivering a message to somebody that is positive, and or even negative, and they want something back, they want to hear something, you want to hear something back as a leader, acknowledging what that person's saying. It allows the recipient to feel that they are being listened to, that they are being appreciated, that they can move forward from the situation. So, from a business point of view, one example I have is, so let's say you come up to an employee and say, you know what, your numbers just aren't great right now, what can I do to help you? And the employee says, look, I keep trying to get my numbers up, but whatever I do, I just can't do it. A great way to respond would be, so what I'm hearing you say is that you're putting in good effort but not getting the results you want. You're paraphrasing what that person's saying, and it's showing that you're really hearing them. The next step would be validating them after that. So saying that it's completely normal for what they're doing. So let's say, go back to that employee. Well, the numbers just aren't there and you're really working hard. Well, it's completely normal that you'd be upset that this situation's occurring. Normalizing it for the recipient, normalizing that bad news for the person who you're delivering that bad news to will make them feel better, will make them want to take action to move forward because they are hearing what you are saying. Another step is to champion your employees, to champion people that you know. This is done before a task is completed, so saying, I know you're going to be doing a great job. I know that you're going to get the results that you want. That is going to help people move forward from that situation knowing that you have confidence in them. And that's what it's about. It's about knowing that you have confidence in them. They'll move much more forward from their situations. Parallel with that is inspiring them, telling them that their positive thinking changes the entire energy in the room, that they're going to be doing a great job, and you know they are because they have the mindset to keep moving forward. Again, these are softer messages that might not sound what a speaker, what a supervisor, what a boss would normally say, but it gets those employees working harder. It gets them moving forward because you have confidence in them, and you are championing that they can do what you hired them to do, and that you have faith that they are going to complete any task that's put in front of them. Most importantly, it's about experiencing detached involvement. And what I mean by detached involvement is being emotionally involved, but being at a higher level where your emotions do not take over what you're trying to accomplish. You can be involved in a situation, and let's say, I'll give an example for myself. I did trials. I was a trial attorney. I was a prosecutor for about 5 years. I got involved in my cases. I had to be. When I'm giving closing arguments, when I'm giving opening statements, I have to show that passion for the victim, for the state, for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I have to show that passion so that the jury responds. But am I involved in the outcome? I'm not. It's up to the jury to make that decision. It's up to the finder of fact to make that decision. So while I'm involved in the outcome, I'm not emotionally involved in the outcome, which allows me to take a better view, allows me to take an objective view of the situation to determine what is going to happen. So when I speak with the victims, when I speak with their family members, I can tell them a realistic view and stay uninvolved. It's something as an attorney, I still practice law that I handle every day. I have a client now who's sitting in prison, and his family is very upset. And it's about, and even though he's a friend, I stay emotionally detached involvement. So I'm involved in the situation, but I'm able to give the objective view, being able to give the advice without falling into his mother's fears and concerns and heartache that her son is sitting in jail. So that is the most important part when delivering any message, when being an employer, when being a leader of people. It's about having that attached involvement so that you can keep people moving forward, so that they can hear your message, and that you are not sinking into a level of despair, level of if things aren't going well, everything's getting ruined. You are looking forward. You are the captain of the ship and moving it forward from there. So, one thing, whether it's a good message or a difficult message, is making sure that you're delivering something appropriately. For example, if you're delivering a good message to a shy employee, they're not going to want to be singled out. They aren't going to want to be, hey, Johnny right here did a great job. Let's have Johnny stand up and clap for him. Well, everybody else might think that's great, but Johnny might feel horrible afterwards because he was singled out, because he doesn't like the public attention and he was getting it. Another example is a team player, a leader of a team. Let's say you have a sales team. That person is placed in front of the room and they like that they have the team. They are a team player. Well, singling them out as the leader of that team is only going to make them feel bad because it's about the team for them. So it's about knowing your audience, knowing how you can deliver that message. So it's really about using your intuition at that point and knowing that what you're saying reflects the person you are trying to deliver that message to. So anticipating their questions, anticipating their concerns, anticipating the situation that they're in. Even your body language is something that you have to be aware of when delivering this message. If you're trying to deliver a message of superiority, of power over somebody, and when I mean power, I don't mean power as in yelling at them. I mean power, a powerful message. Delivering a powerful message that is impactful. Standing may be the appropriate message. But if you're trying to make someone feel comfortable, if you're trying to have them be aware that you're on their side, sitting, leaning forward, leaning in to make them sure that they feel that you're comfortable, that this is a one-on-one conversation with the person would be the appropriate way. So body language and really listening to the person and knowing what they're going to say or say in response to the difficult message you're delivering is the way that you can get that message across best so that they can move forward from the action that is being presented. So a couple questions that I'm just going to leave out there, and then I'll take any questions that you'd like. Just for you to think about are, what are some difficult messages that you have to deliver, and what makes them difficult? Also, what can you do to more focus on the intended audience, and what impedes you from communicating most effectively? And lastly, what is your strategy for dealing with difficult communications? And if anybody has any questions, please let me know. All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
I'd like to thank you for coming here today and speaking with us and giving us a little insight on how better to communicate with others, especially in a speaking situation. Being more direct is something that we all need to work on at times, especially now, these days when times are difficult. And I see you're very motivated in what you're telling your clients and people you're speaking to, and you believe in your subject. And of course, here in Rotary, we believe in something too, do we not?
Yes. We don't believe in free speech.
We believe in free speech. That's why we don't pay our speakers.
Oh, wait, what? But thank you.
But in lieu thereof, I'd like to present you with a Rotary Speakers Cap in lieu of payment. Because we don't pay our speakers.
I appreciate
But we do
it.
believe in free speech.
I appreciate the.
Did I not get that message across correctly?
You got it.
Everyone knows it now.
We know it.
Thank you very much for coming, but don't go away. I have one last request for you. We have a 50-50 in our club, even though it's a very small amount of people here today due to the impending holidays. How much do we have in the pot?
$31.
$31. Did you get in on this?
I did not.
Oh, that's okay, because we don't let our speakers in. You can put one in if you like. Okay, so for $31, please pull out the lucky winner.
Where's Monica? Where's
And
Harry?
if you
He should be
will, read
forbidden.
the last 3 digits.
913.
Monica!
You had 912.
Very good.
I had 922 the first one.
Thank you. And Harry had 912.
Harry, how come you didn't win today?
Thank you.
Harry's the luckiest man here.
Ellen's back, that's what.
Oh.
Okay, then we only have a couple.